Hello, fun. My name's Nikki, and I'm here at the Miami Valley Regional in Cincinnati with Team 695 Bison Robotics. They're already off to an incredibly strong start this season, coming in as regional finalists at both of their prior events, proving to be a powerful machine here in Cincinnati. They have all sorts of cool mechanisms to make that happen, from their intake and feeder in their water chopper, all the way to this long column and shooter and all the other code and electronics that tie it together. All this and more coming up on Behind the Bumpers. Now we're going over to Nate to talk about their intake and feeder system.
So for this season, we started off early with the West Coast Products competitive concept, right? I'm sure if anyone here is familiar with it, you might have seen it. There's some other robots event that have it and everything, but that gave us a great base this season to start iterating on. We've consistently worked, we're probably upwards of 12 iterations on this intake now to get this to the point that it's at today and to be competitive here. So if you can deploy the intake real quick so you can see it. All right, so for this intake, this version of it, in contrast to the West Coast Products version, only has one powered roller. So we use two motors on our single roller here to give us as much power as we can. The original West Coast Products version had 3 rollers in a path up the side here, and it relied completely on the bumpers for compression. What we've done is added a kicker bar and an intermediate bar on the top of the bumpers here to roll against our single roller so that we don't have to deal with the variability of the bumpers. So our single roller is coated with this grip tape here, cat tongue tape. There's a lot of different teams that use it. We're heavily inspired by a couple teams with this intake. Team 27 and Team 1678 are where we got most of our intake design ideas from here. And it's been very effective for us. It's very quick and easy to get the balls to pop up in here. So if we turn it on and we can run it a little bit, good. So yeah, that's been working very well for us this season. And also in that batch of iterations we did, we included a taller hopper here. We extended it up a little bit and added a roof on this part here. So our capacity has gone from maybe 50 max to 64 when fully packed here. So that's been very effective for us as well. We also extended these walls on the sides here to provide us more prevention for spillage. So we don't have balls rolling off the sides when we get to a full capacity, which we had a lot before. And once they're in here, they come down to our feeder belts here. We use a belt floor in contrast to a lot of teams that are going with a solid roller floor. What we've noticed is that the benefit we get from a roller floor like this with the belts so far apart is that you can see when the ball goes in here, the belts are spreading apart a little bit. They're gripping the ball laterally, right? So as they spin, they have a better hold on the bottom layer of balls and they can get them out of the way faster with more grip. New this competition actually is these plates underneath to prevent the balls getting pushed all the way down through. So what we had experienced previously is that the intake would come up when we have maybe 30 or so left in the hopper, and it would be pushing them down into this. And we would have issues with it getting stuck, and then the belt would ride up off of the pulley in there. So this has helped us a lot. We haven't had any issues with that since installing these plates, and it's been very effective and efficient with this new feeder setup here. The belts are coated in rubber here. You can see the traditional belts that are everywhere else in the robot are much too slippery to grip the balls properly. And these rubber coated belts are, they're a little bit of a knockoff here because the original West Coast Products ones are out of stock, and they've been out of stock all season. We couldn't get them until nearly May, I think is when the shipping date was. But what we did is we took shoe glue actually and glued our own rubber strips onto traditional belts. Yeah, I know it sounds kind of crazy, but they've held up remarkably well, the rubber on them. And I mean, we're happy with it. It's worked for us. So those feed in and they're condensed by these plates, which while they may look small and insignificant on the sides here, these two plates are actually integral to our robot working. We had a brief test without them when we first iterated on this and changed the intake, because when we extended the intake down to include this kicker bar here, it had to come much further back into the robot. So our old setup here had to go. And when we did that, and took these out, the balls would almost every time without fail, they'd get jammed right in here. They come through, they get on top of this gear, they jam between bar and the column right here, and that was causing us a lot of issues. But we iterated quite a bit. We actually made these out of cardboard the first time, and even with cardboard ones, it was like a night and day difference with these two plates here. So they've helped us a lot in terms of funneling them in. And for added performance, because we still saw some edge case jams that we could get, where they would get wedged in this part under here, kind of acted like a wedge. We added these plates right here, these very thin polycarb plates, which you can see bending a little bit back and forth. That's not intentional. They are so thin that they sort of stretch after a few matches of use. But those have also been very effective, because when we get a big stack up here of balls, instead of the top on the stack staying there and going down this wedge as the other ones go in, it just rides up out of the way, so the other two can go in underneath it. So once those are through our feeder system, they go on over to our column.
Before we get to our next segment, we'd like to thank the following. It isn't too late to order competition apparel for your team at FRC Tees. Founded by FIRST alumni and offering a free 14-day turnaround with expedited options available, go to frctees.com to see why hundreds of teams are making FRC Tees their first choice for their apparel needs. That's frctees.com. For over 100 years, Kettering University has offered a better education, because from day one, that education has been built on hands-on, co-op learning. Kettering's impressive alumni network includes founders, presidents, CEOs, and frontrunners who have a reputation for transforming industries with their resolute leadership. Apply today at kettering.edu/first.
Thanks, Nate. Now we're going to move on over to Ben and talk about their column and shooter system.
So what we have here, what we call is our shooter column. It is composed of 3 different sets of independent shooters powered by 3 different Krakens, as seen here. We have what we call the kicker, which is arrays of sushi wheels that are all driven by belt driven off to the side by a motor stowed down here. And basically, when it goes through, it's its own channel. They all exit at the same velocity and they all follow in the same arc. You can tell from our match videos that they are in line with each other while they're in the air. And what's unique about this column is that the original West Coast Products design had a compression of about 1.5 inches, which is about as much as I can compress the ball myself with my own hands. Now, what we did to combat this was we reduced the sushi wheels down here. They were originally 1.5, 2 inch diameter rollers. So we just switched them to sushi rollers. And then we changed these 3D printed hoods back here to move back a little bit, and that reduced our compression to about 3/4. And what that means is, for the old column, when you compress and it's compressed the whole way through, it comes out and dissipates a lot of the rotational kinetic energy of the shooter wheel. And when it's less compressed, it doesn't have as drastic as a velocity dip as with better compression. So that's how we typically shoot. Now, onto the actuation. On both sides, it is similar to the West Coast Products. We have their linear actuator servos, and they drive the hood angle. And what we found in our week 1 event is that sometimes the linear actuators can give inconsistent readings for their position. And what that ended up doing for us was gave us different angles. We really just missed a lot of our shots. So what we did was we added these 3D printed mounts to this little wing here, independent of the column, and drive encoder. Like, you can see it in the swerve drive wheels, but you also have it right here. That gives us the absolute value for what the angle is, so we can use it for extra redundancy if need be.
Thank you very much, Ben. I think that's all some really cool design. Thanks for working on that. Now we're moving on over to Shamith to talk about some of their code work as well.
So for pose estimation, we use one Limelight 4 running Megatech 2 software, and we feed gyro measurements for it out of our Pigeon too. Now our hood angle and shot speed for our shoot from anywhere, we adjust based off of our distance to the hub with a interpolating lookup table. So, Demisha, if you drive the robot back and forth, you should be able to see the hood automatically changing angle. So as we drive around, you can see the hood will automatically shift its angle. It doesn't change by too much, except it's a very big effect on the actual shot angle of the ball. The highest the hood ever goes is when we're stockpiling. So, Kamisha, if you could stockpile also. So, and you can see that during our shot, we actually raise our intake in order to jam balls through our belts and into the shooter, and speed up our balls per second, because we would have a lot of balls like sitting on top of the intake, and we make sure to raise it so that they all get through into the shooter. Another thing we do on our hood is we use cancoders to read angles, and we also use linear actuators to read angles, except what the unit we actually want is exit angle of the ball. So we use inverse kinematics and a lot of trig to be able to give the hood set points in exit angle as opposed to cancoder angle. So we want to know the actual angle the ball exits as opposed to the angle of the shaft or the length of this linear actuator. Yeah. All right.
Well, thank you all very much for your time. It's been really interesting learning about everything you all do here at Bison. And you're sitting pretty well for this event, so I think you're set to do great things. Thank you so much for your time, and good luck for the rest of this event.
Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and click the bell to stay up to date on future fun videos. For over 100 years, Kettering University has offered a better education, because from day one, that education has been built on hands-on, co-op learning. Kettering's impressive alumni network includes founders, presidents, CEOs, and frontrunners who have a reputation for transforming industries with their resolute leadership. Apply today at kettering.edu/first. It isn't too late to order competition apparel for your team at FRC Tees. Founded by First alumni and offering a free 14-day turnaround with expedited options available, go to frctees.com to see why hundreds of teams are making FRC Tees their first choice for their apparel needs. That's frctees.com.